There you go.
Awesome.
Good afternoon. What is your name? Do you mind you introducing yourself?
Hi, yes, my name is Tiffani Armstrong, and I am a certified personal trainer. I've been working as a certified personal trainer for about 8 years now.
All right. Do you mind giving a phone number and where people can find you if they want to
Yeah,
actually use your
yeah,
services?
yeah, of course. So my training company is called Invictus Personal Training. And if anybody wants to reach out to me with any questions or anything, my phone number is 714-323-5119. And I can also be reached at email, which is invictuspersonaltraining1, the number one, at gmail.com.
Do you provide personal training in person or over the internet?
I do in person. I'm located in Myriad, so I do Inland Empire. And then, of course, I also do virtual training, and I also offer pre-written packages. So writing programs for people specific to their goals and their needs.
Okay. Can you tell me more about the relationship between personal training, exercise, and mental health in your
Yes,
experience?
yeah. So this is super, super important. A lot of people obviously know that exercise is very beneficial for your physical health. It can help prevent and reverse diseases, but more importantly, in my opinion, it can also help a lot with mental health. So the way I look at exercise is it's one of the best self-care exercises that you can take for yourself. So a lot of people think of self-care as taking a bath or other ways to help yourself mentally, but with exercise, it actually causes changes in our brain chemistry that releases endorphins. So a lot like people who have bad habits, that vices like drinking, drugs, things that might release endorphins in not healthy ways. Obviously, exercise is a very healthy way to do that. So that's huge benefit. Releases a lot of stress and helps you throughout the day feel better too. So it's not just in that moment that you're feeling better, but it actually creates brain chemistry that lasts all day long to help you feel more motivated throughout the day as well.
So it's almost like a natural medication that you could give yourself. Like if you're depressed or if you're anxious, you do exercise, and exercise is almost like taking a pill, but it's a good pill. You're doing it like a natural way.
Yeah, I actually like that you say it's like taking a pill because I always say if we could bottle the benefits of exercise and put it into a prescription medication, then it would be the most popular antidepressant on the planet. There's been a ton of clinical studies that actually show that exercise is just as good or better than most antidepressants for treating depressive symptoms as well as anxiety symptoms as well. Obviously, without all of the side effects that come along with pharmaceuticals too. So it's pretty great.
Yeah, I agree with you. So you decided to become a trainer. What was the motivation behind becoming a trainer, and how did you find your calling for this?
So I fell in love with exercise when I was about 16. Early on in high school, I unfortunately dealt with an eating disorder. So eventually, obviously, learned this isn't a healthy way to treat my body. How can I treat it in a healthy way? So at 16, I kind of started going to the gym, teaching myself a lot about exercise, and then actually got a trainer myself at 18 who kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. Later on that year, I got my certification and then later went on to do some school with kinesiology as well. So at first, it was really teaching people the basics about exercise because a lot of people, when they first go into the gym, are very overwhelmed, and that's a big reason a lot of people quit. Is it just seems like too much for them to take on. So originally, it was just to kind of help people get started in the gym, and now it's more so tied in with mental health as well. So not only getting people to achieve their goals, but also a lot of the time helping them shift their goals a little bit from aesthetic to more well-being. So it's not just about the way that they look, but it's also about the way that they feel, which is a lot different than what a lot of people and influencers will tell you nowadays. A lot of people go online looking for a fad or looking for ways to get a bigger butt, bigger shoulders, bigger arms, whatever it is. Whereas if you're training with me, I would love to help you reach those goals, but also realize what's more important is how you feel along the way too, because that's what's actually sustainable is chasing the goal of feeling good.
How do you feel about what's going on right now with the Ozempic craze? People giving themselves injection, medication that was normally designed to help people with diabetes type 2, and they actually have people are using it so much. There's so many people using Ozempic that
Mhm.
what's going on is that they don't even have enough medication for people who have type 2 diabetes. They have to, the people on type 2 diabetes have to sometimes go up their medication, try something else because Ozempic is being used more for the new label, which is to help people lose weight.
Yeah, well, you said it pretty much, obviously. Yeah, Ozempic has become super popular as a weight loss drug when obviously originally it was supposed to be used for type 2 diabetes, along with the added benefit of weight loss, but it's supposed to treat a disease, right? And people are seeing it more as, oh, I can lose weight on this drug, but there's so many bad side effects to it. First of all, people that actually need it aren't getting it. Second of all, I've had multiple clients that have tried Ozempic before coming to me, and the amount of side effects that come along with it are just awful. And of course, it's not sustainable. So you're not going to be on Ozempic for the rest of your life. You're not actually making any changes to change your habits. Once you go off Ozempic, most of the time people tend to gain that weight back. And then they're back at square one. And hopefully, they're going to change their habits, but a lot of time are just looking for a quick fix like Ozempic that is going to give you that quick fix, but it's not a long-term solution at all for weight loss or
I think
health.
the way Ozempic works is that it reduces the motility in your stomach. So that means you
Hmm.
don't eat as much because you don't digest, and so you get full faster. But the side effect is that when you stop taking it, your motility goes back to normal, and then you're hungry all the time. And so you not only gain the weight back, but you sometimes get the weight back with interest, right? It's like the
Yeah,
yo-yo
yeah,
effect.
exactly. It's kind of a rebound effect with that. And even with the clients that I had when they were on Ozempic, they were having nausea all the time. They were getting headaches. When I was doing sessions with them, I had one client that every single session, no matter how quote unquote easy I took it with him, he would have to leave the session because he would have to vomit because he was so nauseous just from being on the medication. So it's much better to just show up to, your sessions or go to the gym without having those drugs in you and be able to complete your session than feeling nauseous halfway through.
What do you think is driving people to be overweight in the US? There's a real epidemic of, and I'm not talking just like having a BMI that's slightly higher, but some people are really, really big in the US. What do you think is driving that?
Just American culture of excess, just driving to work, you're probably going to pass by 10, 15, 20 different fast food establishments. It's always readily available. We live very busy lives, so it's very easy to pick up something fast and quick. It's very easy to neglect exercise when you say, oh, I've got to work, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. It's very easy to push our health aside, and we don't realize that that is the number one priority really in life is health. As we get older, it gets harder to move, but if we're able to little by little keep up our health throughout our life instead of all of a sudden getting to the point of, oh my gosh, I'm obese, or oh my gosh, I can't walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded. It's a lot easier to maintain that lifestyle, right? Instead of starting it from a point of almost failure. So just the excess in America. So if we're able to, implement a few basic principles to help kind of avoid and curb those things that are kind of thrown at us every day, it makes it a lot easier to maintain our fitness.
Well, everything you put in your mouth, whether it's food or medication, whatever, will alter the chemistry of your brain, right?
Hmm.
So what I know is that there are so many items that are allowed in the US
Yes.
to manufacture food which are forbidden in Europe. So in a
Hmm.
sense, like there's a list as long as my arm of,
Yeah.
things you're not allowed to put in food in Europe, which might
Hmm.
contribute to people getting overweight, which are
Yeah.
permitted in
Addictive.
the US. Right.
Mhm.
So I feel like there's a need for more education around food items, but also I feel like people, it's almost like a lo- it's like an unfair fight because people are sometimes trying to eat well, and the food that the additives are in their food is very, very unhealthy, which makes them more likely to become overweight. Whereas
So
if they were in Europe, a lot of the food does not have that, so you will lose weight naturally without having to try too hard.
yeah, yeah, exactly. From the chemicals to the extra sugar, you'd be surprised. Next time you go grocery shopping, look at the labels of the things you're buying. If there's added sugar in it, that is something else that's very addictive. Obviously, a lot of our foods have excess sugar, excess chemicals, all these things that keep us wanting to come back for more, and it just becomes a cycle, unfortunately, for a lot of us.
There's an app on my phone that I found called Yuka, and
Yeah.
Yuka, you scan the barcode of anything you eat or anything you put on your face, like makeup or
Hmm.
cream or whatever, and it gives you a rating, and it tells you whether or not it's good for you or bad for you.
Hmm.
And there's so much stuff that's bad for you. Like even the stuff that's supposed to be natural or wholesome will have like a basket of fruit on the cover, and then you scan it and it's got like a rating that's like so bad that you're like,
Totally.
there's a lot of things that's misleading. And now, since the gluten-free fad, people are like, saying, "Oh, and we're gluten free." It's like
Mhm.
people say, "Oh, that must be good for you," and they don't realize all they're getting is pure sugar. And
Yes.
so I don't know. But coming back to mental health, there's a direct
Mhm.
impact between what you put in your mouth and how you feel and how you think.
Totally. Yeah.
So do you feel what type of people come to you? What kind of clients do you have? From all walks of life, or do you have the same type of clientele, or do you feel like there's a profile of people that you attract?
Truly all walks of life I have trained. I've trained as young as 14 years old, all the way up to somebody that was in their 70s, and all different sorts of goals. But really, the most I see is, people looking to lose weight, since that is a huge epidemic in our country, is obesity. Most people coming to me looking to lose weight. So I help a lot of people learn sustainable habits. I'm not just there to tell you, okay, eat this many calories and do this exercise 3 times a week and you'll lose weight. I'm here to teach you how to actually implement habits into your life to make it sustainable. So that way, when I'm no longer in your life, because you don't need a personal trainer your whole life, I want to be able to teach you the skills to actually make it fit into your lifestyle as well to be healthy.
So I like the idea of personal trainer coach, but really what you are is an educator, a teacher, and it's kind of like people go through an apprenticeship and eventually they graduate.
Totally. Yeah. I don't want to be training you forever. That means I did something wrong. I want you to be able to learn how to do all the things that I do for yourself too. Yeah. Totally.
And hopefully, people that come to you and they get your services and they love what you do, then they will send you their friends and family members and whomever.
Yeah. It
So,
happens. Yeah.
so another question around what do you think could help people become better at working out? Like, are there any type of practices that are more uh, psychological practices that can assist somebody in staying consistent with exercising and engaging in exercise?
Yeah. Always what I tell my clients is perfect is the enemy a lot of the time. So you don't want to hold yourself to this super high standard, or, a lot of people will go to bed at night and be like, all right, tomorrow's the day. I'm going to start eating perfect. I'm going to work out 5 days a week. That's not going to work out, because that's, again, not sustainable. So you want to start making small changes, whether it's, I'm going to make sure I drink enough water, and then you stack onto that, I'm going to make sure that I'm getting, 3 days a week of 30 minutes of exercise, and over time you build onto these little habits. So that way you're not overloading yourself, and it, like I said, it becomes not sustainable. So little things like that. Also, I really like yoga for my clients that have anxiety. I suggest yoga to them because it's also a form of meditation along with physical exercise, obviously. Um, Doing at least like an hour of yoga a week, I suggest to my clients with anxiety, and they say that it helps them quite a bit too.
Why do you think yoga helps people reduce anxiety?
A lot of yoga actually is breath based. So a lot of therapists suggest breath work, box breathing, deep belly breathing, stuff like that, is something that's been used in yoga, which goes back thousands of years. So it helps you focus not on what's up here, but what's going on inside of your body. So you're taking nice deep breaths and you're syncing those along with your movements, whatever you're doing in yoga. That's why I say it's a form of meditation, because it takes you outside of your head and gets you to focus on something else. I took a yoga class in college, and that was my favorite part of my week, was the 2 days a week I got to do yoga, because at the end it was like this blissful, nice, relaxed, almost like floating feeling, because I was able to disconnect from, the daily stressors in life and kind of remind myself that, okay, I'm still here, I'm still present. It's a very meditative practice.
What are, in your opinion, killers or things to avoid if you want to
Mhm.
sustain exercising, like habits that people have that besides smoking, drinking, what have you? But are there any things that people do that can really deter them from actually accomplishing their goal?
A lot of it comes down to the way that we talk to ourselves. So self-talk is huge. That's the biggest part. I'm a big believer in moderation. So I'm not going to be the kind of person that says you can never have candy or you have to work out 5, 7 days a week. There's some weeks that are going to be harder than others. So learning to be compassionate with ourselves and know that nothing is going to be perfect, but take it day by day. If you're able to get in 30 minutes that day of exercise, great. If you're not able to, okay, encourage yourself tomorrow to do those 30 minutes, because the more that we beat ourselves up, the less likely we are to continue down the road to getting better. So that's usually what I suggest to my clients is self-love is very, very important in not deterring yourself from getting healthy.
Can you tell me about a success story that you've had with a client and how that, what you observed not only in the fact of fitness, but also mental health and how they came around? And do you mind to share? You don't have to give names or just,
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot. The one that comes to mind is she's still a client of mine. I've had her for about a year, and she's like family to me now. But when she first came to me, she had a frozen shoulder, which is a condition that really limits your mobility. So she was having a hard time reaching back behind her car to grab things from her back seat, or she wasn't able to play pickleball anymore, stuff like that. And she was also on blood pressure medication because she had high blood pressure. So all of these things obviously have a physical impact, but also have a huge mental impact. If you're not able to reach in your backseat to, touch your daughter, or easily able to get your daughter out of the car, out of her car seat, mentally, that's going to be draining. If you're not able to go play pickleball with your friends or whatever it is, that kind of stuff is mentally draining. Having high blood pressure is a huge stressor and can cause so many physiological, biological problems in our body. It's a
Mhm.
snowball effect. So now, a year later, she's off of those meds. Her frozen shoulder within 2 or 3 months has complete range of mobility again. And beyond that, she has more energy. I see her all the time. She says, "Oh, I don't need to take naps anymore. It's great. I'm not tired in the middle of the day. And I'm able to play with my daughter when I get home, and I don't immediately want to go into bed." So there's a ton of positive benefits that she's gotten from our sessions outside of just the physical aspects of it too.
What were the traditional doctors suggesting to that person? Were they like, "Hey, you need to take medication," or "This is gonna be for the rest of your life," or were they like, "There's nothing can be done about this"?
Yep, the medication was pretty much it. And of course, doctors always like, and we recommend a healthy diet and exercise. Okay, but what does that mean? How does that actually look for that person? A doctor isn't going to go into your daily routine and tell you how to implement these things. They're going to give you suggestions. So, that's where professionals like me come in, where I'm able to say, this is what's going to work for your lifestyle, and this is what's not going to work for your lifestyle. A lot of the times, doctors unfortunately will just prescribe something, and that's the end of it. They're not actually looking at the root cause of what's causing those issues. They're just going to medicate to fix them instead.
All right. What's your view on mindfulness and on let me think. There's so many different tools that you can use in the psychotherapy, but
Hmm.
do you implement mindful? You mentioned yoga, and yoga is really
Hmm.
mindful. Do you feel like people who have a harder time being mindful have more health problems and more difficulties? I mean, like, can I ask you a question? I'm leading a little bit, but yes, really the
Hmm.
question that I want to know is, do you notice the difference between people that already have a meditation practice or are mindful and the people that do not when they come to you?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, mindfulness is plays a part in almost every moment of our lives, you know what I mean? So when somebody's going to reach for a burger, it's about, are they thinking about what they're putting in their mouth? Are they being mindful of it, or are they just feeling a need? Are they feeling that quick fix for whatever it is? So the people that are mindful, I've had clients that have zero mindfulness. All they know is that they don't want to look the way that they look anymore. So I try to say, okay, well, why is it that you don't want to look the way that you look? And then we kind of delve into more stuff like that. I feel like I'm a therapist half the time, obviously not trained for it, but with a lot of my clients, because so much of health and fitness is underlying mental first. That's where our issues begin is with our mental state, with our mindfulness. And that's how we fix them too, is by being mindful about the choices that we're making on a day-to-day basis.
There's been tons of studies that have come out in the recent years about the effects of technology and social media on the mind and how
Mm-hmm.
people are becoming narcissistic, but also a lot of people, their self-esteem is going to the toilet
Yep.
because you mentioned influencers at the very beginning of this
Hmm.
interview, and you were saying that people that go online, they find somebody who's in a bikini and tells them how beautiful they can be. But
Hmm.
there's something missing. Can you
Hmm.
explain to me what's missing out of those influencers or those situations?
Yeah. I mean, influencers, they don't even look the way that they portray themselves online, whether it's the lighting, filters, posing. Obviously editing in Photoshop is huge too, but you see those people in person, they don't even look like that. So that's another thing I always tell my clients is that you should not be comparing yourself to what you see online or in person even. What you see online isn't real, and comparing yourself to somebody else is never going to get you to where you want to be. Because obviously we're all different. And influencers, they're there to try to sell you something most of the time. They're there to get more followers so they can get more clicks, more sponsorships, or they're trying to sell a specific product to you. And don't get me wrong, there's some influencers that are great, but for the majority of them, um, I always prefer to stick to science over social media or anything like that. And I always tell the story of, how I kind of told you I had an eating disorder in high school. That started because I was in the generation of when Instagram and Snapchat and all of that first came out, and
Hmm.
I was comparing myself to all of these people online and comparing myself to something that's not real. So we need to work on ourselves, focusing on ourselves and how we feel opposed to how we want to look, like you were saying, an influencer will sell you something to say that, hey, you want to look like me? Well, buy this supplement, buy my program, whatever it is.
Well, that's the one thing that annoys me is when I see an influencer who does it, and you can blame me for trying. This is America, but they're like, "Hey, buy my pill to get skinny or whatever." And then, but when you see somebody like Dr. Oz
Hmm.
or the people from the Shark Club selling gummies to people to lose weight, and they say 28 days, and they put two people that somewhat look alike. One is the before, and one is the after, and you can tell they are not the same person. And
Hmm.
they're like, oh, this person lost 12 kilos in like 2 weeks or 30 pounds in like 3 weeks. And
Hmm.
somebody who is named a doctor, like Dr. Oz, saying, I'm endorsing this. And then you
Hmm.
try, or you have videos on even YouTube where they'll be like, stay tuned and we'll tell you the 5 things that are going to kill you. And if you do what we say, you're going to be beautiful and thin forever. But if you don't pay attention, and then they talk and talk, it's like diarrhea of the mouth for like 30 minutes. You have somebody talk and talk and talk and talk with a bunch of, and then you get to the end, and then they're like, "Don't eat yogurt. Yogurt is bad for you," or "Don't eat
Right.
cereals." And it's like,
Grapes. Right. Yeah.
yeah, whatever. And it's kind of like I feel like everybody wants to make money, which is fine, but
Hmm.
making money, we live in in a society where money is required to do everything. But
Yep.
it seems to me that there is also uh, such an emphasis on it's almost like it's kind of like taking advantage of somebody who's already, if you're desperate because your health isn't good, because your weight is because you're overweight, and people are
Hmm.
preying on you, and they're not taking into account the mental health aspect of it.
Yeah.
We're creating even more problems because
It's just scare tactics and then promising something that is never going to be delivered that way. Yeah, it makes me very upset to see those kinds of before and afters where it's very clear that there's just some editing that's gone on. You know what I mean?
or even it's a totally different person, and it's
Hmm.
it's a form of social engineering. You create a problem,
Yep.
you take a problem, and then you tell people this is a problem and this is what's going to happen to you, and then you tell them, hey, you know what,
I
but
can fix it.
I can fix
Hmm.
it for you for a small amount of money.
Hmm.
And it's never just a small amount of money. But
No.
I've seen commercials about how people promise to cure cancer and cure diabetes, and it's like, oh, and then at the end you've got in fine print those statements have not been verified by the FDA, and so the person will order $100 of pills, and then they come in and nothing happens, and all you need, is to have a bunch of people that want to believe what you're selling. And if none of the claim that you're saying can be debunked, then you know what? It's basically just like a gimmick. So
Hmm.
we've already established that taking a magic pill does not work or does not
Hmm.
exist. So exercise is the way to go, and the lifestyle change is the way to go. But I feel
Hmm.
like when we talk about lifestyle change and exercise, a lot of time what's missing is the mental health aspect of the plan. And what you're basically offering is
Hmm.
a uh, a plan to change the way you look at life so that you can change the way you act so you can change the way you feel.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel like I should be asking you that could help other people?
No, we covered a lot of it. I just think that the science of mental health and exercise, how they're interlinked and meshed together, is so interesting. Like I told you about the study about multiple clinical studies, how exercise works as well or better than most antidepressants. Goes for a lot of different things too. Anxiety, ADHD, even some cases of schizophrenia can help reduce symptoms of schizophrenia as well. We know that in general, exercise reduces our stress levels, and that is one of the biggest things in America today is our stress levels around everything. And as we get older, that stress manifests in our body, and then it's a terrible cycle. So the sooner that you can get on some sort of exercise routine that works for you, the better you're going to be in the long run.
So you mind repeating your name and your phone number and your email again?
Yep. Tiffani Armstrong is my name. I'd be very happy to talk to you if you want to text me, call me at 714-323-5119. And then my email is Invictus personal training 1@gmail.com.
I'll make sure to type that up into the video, and of course, if you're not yet a member or you have not joined the YouTube channel, The Wandering Clinician, I would like you to sign up for it. And then
Mhm.
I thank you for your time, and I thank you for coming in and talking about personal training. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, JP. Have a good day.
Likewise.